Well, hello and welcome to my shop, and thank you so much for coming and joining me. I'm just about to start work on this Hallicrafters model S-38 shortwave radio. Just before I get going, in case you're a new viewer of mine, let me just warn you of a couple of things. One is I don't edit my videos very much at all, and so pretty much whatever happens in here gets on video. So it's kind of a live sort of thing I'm doing. That means on video I get regularly captured saying things that aren't actually true, making mistakes right in front of you, overlooking something that I should be paying attention to. All these things go wrong in here because it's a live production. It's basically a live production. So I fight my way through all the things that are involved in getting a radio like this working again, including my own mistakes along the way. And in the end, I pretty much, well, my success rate is very high. Let's put it that way. I think anybody's would be, as long as you're persistent and carry on. So that's what you're going to see in this video, is, or subsequent videos while I work on this radio, is me just working away. I'm not suggesting what I'm doing is the best way to do anything. Probably isn't. It's just my way. It's just the way that I've developed over my life. So what we're going to do with this radio, first step, is to look it over very, very carefully and see what we can see about it. First off, right off the bat, the cord is cut off. I don't know anything about this radio, by the way. It was handed to me, so I don't know anything about it. The cord is cut off. Now, why is the cord cut off? The cord is cut off for a couple of reasons. One is somebody wanted the cord to hook up to another radio. That's possible. Another one is somebody said this radio doesn't work anymore, and it's it's bad to leave the cord on here. Somebody's going to plug it in, and something bad's going to happen. So they cut the cord off. Or another one is something bad did happen in here. Smoke came out of it. Something happened, and the person said, "Well, that's it for this radio," and cut the cord off to make sure nobody would operate it again. So we don't really know why. There's probably more reasons why it could be cut off. Those are the ones that come to my mind, though. The one that's most likely is there's something wrong with this radio and the person cut the cord off to avoid having it plugged in again. But who knows? So we look at the front of the radio. Great thing, has all its knobs. Pointers work. These feels mechanical, in fact. It doesn't feel like there's a string in there. This one's the same. Doesn't feel like there's a string involved. Well, something's sliding here at the end, so maybe there is a string. But the good news is the knobs. Good news just ended. We can't get above here. I can feel now. There's definitely a string. See how the knob kind of springs back? Because this is stuck here, actually. You can hear the string sliding over the knob. So much for not feeling like there's strings. Now it feels like there is. We'll know soon enough anyway. Just can't get up there. Okay. It's 4 bands. Bands are here. I can see 4 different scales there. The numbering is backwards. And scale number 1's over here and number 4's over there. Why would they ever do that? They have some little marker lines that help you get your eye to the right scale, but for that to work, you got to be looking straight on this radio. And this is a tabletop radio, so the tendency is to look at it on a bit of an angle, maybe just a little bit of a steeper angle like that. Not that that matters. I'm just making observations, some of which are just a waste of time, but others I may make some observation that's quite valuable here. So it has a speaker and a phones switch. Speaker is up here. The phone terminals are here. They don't say headphones or earphones, they say phone. Gives an idea how old this is, or at least the people who made this, how old they were at the time. You see the 2 terminals here take 2 pins, if you like, pushed into them. That's a sign of a couple things. Old again, I can't imagine this is pre Second World War though. This has to be after the Second World War, I would think. And what it really indicates is if you plug headphones in here, they need to be high impedance headphones, 800, 1000 ohms, something like that. Not 8 ohms. This isn't built for 8 ohms. Pretty sure of that. Long guarantee form here. Wow, is the guarantee still in place? A guarantee form should be delivered to you with this receiving set. If you fail to find it, ask your dealer for it. In order that we guarantee, in order that our guarantee shall be effective, it is necessary for you to fill in and return the card attached to the guarantee form. Warning: any person installing or operating this receiving set without first having received a license from the Minister of Transport of Canada is liable, upon summary conviction, to a fine not exceeding $25, and the said receiving set may be forfeited to His Majesty. That gives an idea how old this is. His Majesty, by order of the Minister, for such disposition as the Minister may direct. In order to replace tubes in this receiver, disconnect the supply cord and remove the chassis from the case. Remove the chassis from the case just to change tubes? Manufactured by the Hallicrafters Company, Chicago, USA. Canadian representatives, Rogers Majestic Limited, Toronto, Canada. S-38. Now there's an S-38, an S-38A, B, C, D, and E. There's a whole pile of these things. This is just says S-38. So I think this might be the granddaddy of the 38 series. We've got a CW pitch. Here's the switch for it here. AM, or regular listening, and CW, continuous wave, Morse code basically. But other things you as a human wouldn't normally listen to, but you might be interested in what they sound like. So for instance, you can pick up teletype, and with just on the AM mode, you don't really hear it for what it sounds like. You flip it on to CW, and you'll hear the two tones chirping back and forth. Volume control, off switch. Receive and standby. I'd be curious about what this actually does. Probably shuts off the high voltage to some or all of the tubes. That's probably what this does. Standby is down. Band spread. The band spread dial is split into 100 numbers, so 0 to 100. It's not calibrated in any kind of frequency. Calibration is over here. There are some, if you can really see this or not. The bands have darkened areas that indicate where different receiving bands are. So there's one just above 14. So that'd be the 20 meter band, just above 7. 40 meter band. So this has the ham bands marked on it. 3.5 to 4. So I think this is regarded as a ham receiver. Ham radio receiver. It doesn't strike me to be the kind of quality that a ham radio operator would want. It just doesn't seem to be quite good enough, but I don't know what's inside it yet. Why don't we find that out? Let's find out what's inside. What is inside here? It's just possible there's a loop antenna mounted on the back of this panel. I doubt it. Let's just be a little bit careful taking this off. I just remembered that. One of my cats is outside. It's a rainy day today. So I gotta go rescue him. Because I'm sure he wants to come in by now. Let's take a peek in the back here, then I'll find my wet cat. Looks like that's got to come out. Quite sure what I'm undoing here. No, that didn't do it. What's holding you in still? This shouldn't come off any more than that. Leave it like that. This is bolted onto the chassis, so from here it all comes out. How does it come out? Ooh, got a little plate underneath here. Plate probably gives look at the screws. That's a weird looking thing. That looks like a rivet. That's a screw. Possible this is meant to slide. Pretty sure it's metal. Look at this as a rivet. Look. Looks like a rivet. What's going on? Well, we'll leave this panel where it is. I don't want to take the whole bottom off. What exactly is going on here? So we have these on the front. Well, let's start with these. This isn't quite the right size. Nut driver. So what has that done now? That's all released the entire bottom. I can't imagine it. Anything's released yet. I'm going to guess what happens is this front panel comes off. Must be clipped up in here somehow. Swing out from the bottom. Can't do it with the knobs on. So move. I don't know about that. Now all these switches are here. You know, I don't know how to take it apart. It's the rivets. It's this thing. It's just got me thoroughly disturbed. Is this really a rivet? Is it supposed to be like that? Okay, we'll take these guys off. Brakes on my table here. Okay, these things have come loose now. Is this really how this is intended to be done? My poor cat's waiting for me out there. It really does feel like a rivet. So we've exposed more screws. These two. Yes, I know it says remove chassis before changing the. Okay, we won't worry about that anymore. It'll all fall into place as we go. What do we got back here? We've got a radio that, has it ever been worked on? That's the question. If it has, not much. It's got all these paper capacitors in them, lots and lots of them. This just doesn't look old. This, this could be a replacement from the original that was in here, but it's strapped in. It's riveted in strap. It's got this capacitor looks a little different than the rest. Yeah, looks straightforward to me. The question I'm asking myself is, do we dare power this up? Yeah, sure, I would dare to power this up. Just looking now at what's going on with the wires here. Well, they're not loose. We don't really know why somebody cut that off. Remove chassis before changing. So maybe if you take these two screws out, the shell will come off. This outer shell will come off. We'll take this with it, rivet and all. And then, why wouldn't I? I mean, how else can you get at all the stuff on top? Must be the case. Makes it not exactly tight. Stuck together here. There we go. Okay, I'll do the top one. I enjoy figuring all this kind of stuff out. Probably there's a good manual somewhere that gives all the details about this guy. He's missing a washer. So this one has a washer. This one, the washer's missing. Evidence of other human beings having been here. And what are the chances this has never been opened up? Pretty darn low. There we go. That's separated. Separated. Who's going where now? So I'm thinking this outer metal shell is going to come off. That's kind of interesting. If I had slid that plate back underneath, it wouldn't have been a big hole. It would just be a series of holes. And these must be alignment access points. Okay, can we get this whole guy to come out? How is he supposed to come out of here? No, it's the cover sliding off. As solid as can be there. they've made this so you really don't have to. Well, yeah, you can't get in at those tubes without either removing this back, which they're saying don't do. These are probably on nuts, screws and nuts. And something has to come off somewhere. Come on, something's got to come off. I don't want to wedge too much with a screwdriver because it scratches things up. I'm looking for any movement in here. Nothing. How else could it be held on? No screws in the front. Can't see in easily to see what's going on. What is going on? This is one piece of metal. It's got to come out. Okay, wait a minute. This can't work this way. It's got to. Well, I'm stymied. I don't know how to take the cabinet off. Holy smokes. Because this piece of metal goes around behind this. So that would mean the radio chassis is you see independent pieces. Riveted. These are riveted to this front panel. So this is all going with the front panel all the time. Is it just possible these are on the wrong side? I can't imagine. That's as far as we're going to get. Time for a break here, I think. I'm stuck. I haven't gotten anywhere yet. I'm stuck. Okay, after looking at a lot of photographs of these radios, and not one photograph shows a radio with a cardboard back. It looks to me like I've got to undo these screws. That releases two metal panels that the switches are mounted on. Pull all these knobs off, and then the chassis should slide out the back. Okay, I'm going to carry on with that. See what happens. Well, as often is the case, the simplest things become the hardest. So I'm taking off the knobs here, which is a fairly straightforward affair. Use a set screw or a wrench, loosen off the little nut, pull the knob off. It's been very hard to get these knobs off. These two are still on there. How come? Because somebody before me stripped the Allen keys, the Allen nuts here. I gotta get those knobs off. I've got to get those knobs off. And how am I ever going to do that? So I looked for a slightly larger Allen key. Couldn't find one. This isn't going to work. I don't know what I'm going to do. This is I'm really stuck here. Well, I really don't know what to do here, so I'm going to try to get a grip with the original size tool. The assumption that there's a little bit left down at the bottom there. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. Not only do I have to get these off, I have to get them back on again, locked in place. And the even if I had a larger size, it might still slip because the insides of the Allen nut are ruined. There's a lot of play there. Wow. That means that somebody may have tried this, couldn't get the knobs off, and gave up. Cut the bloody cord off. They're so upset. And there you go. Drill them out. Drill them out and worry about the knobs later. Drill them out. I've never drilled something like that out. Put in something and reverse it. Wish I had a set of reverse drills. That would be helpful. I don't have such a thing. I have a drill that'll go in reverse. What am I going to do? I'm still looking for more Allen keys. Well, I may have found something here. I do have a set of these little tools, and I tried it on this one. I can't go deep enough. I sort of forgot about it, but these knobs are smaller. And that little bit there is actually enough. It's catching something. Well, it's my best bet. Isn't it supposed to pop in like that? Hey, if it's not one thing, it's something else. I thought this just popped in. Is this going to be awkward? Yeah, let's try that. What's happening? This big tool. Did anything happen? Let's see, no. I'm just going to ream out the rest of the Allen key. The Allen slug. Where is this guy, Allen? Where is he? Oh, 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 oh. Okay, one more. Just got to get this one now. Oh boy, this one's skipping. Oh! Hey, success! Wow, okay, so a lot of time went by for this. Okay, fantastic. Leave that in there. Lucky, lucky, lucky break. That's the only way to describe that. A very lucky break. Okay, now, do I have everything set so it should just slide out the back? That's kind of the idea here. Slide out the back. Something's going somewhere. Oh, that's a rotating plate. That's not the. I want to scratch it up here. That's going to come off. more can you want? What more can you be asking for? This plate is loose now. And the whole chassis is loose. Oh, there we go. Suddenly it does what I expected it to do. Okay, the show is back on the road. The speaker stays in. Okay, speaker's held in with clips. Let's see if we can get them done. Come on out. Hey, here we are. I wonder how long it's been since this has seen the light. I had my elbow in front of the camera all this time. Okay, nothing spectacular inside there, except some dust. Okay. Wow, what do we got here now? 35Z5. Tell me these are all 12 volt tubes. 12 SA7. Output tube is a 35L6. So what we've got here is 12, 12, 12, and 12. That's 50 volts. And then 35 and 35, that's 70. 70 and 50 is 120 volts. These guys are all in series. That means this is probably not the most expensive receiver in the world. They've done away with the power transformer. It also means the B plus is low in here. Interesting how they've done this. So if you look at the tuning capacitor from this side, it looks like an ordinary. Oh, so that's what was happening. Really? The light wire was blocking this. Who would imagine that? It seems like almost a guaranteed thing. It looks like it's probably just sunk over time, down, down, down. That's a little odd. You'd think they could foresee that. This is the earlier, I think this is the earliest version of this radio. So there might have been a few things that they hadn't quite thought out. So here's the regular tuning capacitor. Can you see there's quite a gap right here? And then another one over here, quite a gap. And if we look at the other side, same tuning capacitor, single plates here, and that's how they manage that. And I see why the strings are slipping. This is not proper. This is not properly done. I'm sure there's supposed to be a spring on this. This one's the same. I don't think it's properly done because of that. Okay, that's interesting. Somebody got in here and changed the strings, left the springs out. We'll have to look. There's a nice stringing diagram for this radio, so I'll have to look at that. This must be the output transformer here. Oh my gosh, look at this. These speaker wires actually go to a plug. I could have unplugged it here, but I didn't. It's not a spectacular radio, but it does have a lot of tubes. So it's got to have a front end RF tube, I would think. Maybe not. 12 SA7 here. It's a glass tube. And the rest are all metal tubes. Can't you do a 12 SA7 in a metal version? It's right in amongst these plates. Plates are coming right up beside it. Seems a little odd that this wouldn't be a metal tube also. Okay, that's what we got. Should we start it up? Sure. I think we can start this guy up. See what happens. I have safe ways of doing this. So these pieces here, look at this, which I loosened from the front, are held loosely to the chassis by these loose rivets. Over here too. Who'd have thought? Would never have thought that kind of stuff up. Okay, but I think we can power this guy up. See what comes out of it. Okay, got a new short power cord to put on. I want to solder it right into the chassis, but since this has no power transformer, we have to pay attention to how they've done the power supply in order to keep some safety in mind. So let's take a look at the schematic here. It's not the best version of it, but that's what I got. Okay, here's the schematic. The only part we really want to pay attention to is the power supply here, although I did just notice the standby. Somebody wrote standby right by the switch here. It's just breaking the cathode circuit. That's all? That's all standby does? Okay, back to what we're after. So here's all the tubes in series. Pretty simple stuff. Some radios have lots of components off of here, filters and stuff. It's just that. Very good. This shows a ground right here. This shows a ground right on the power line coming in. So this makes this a fairly dangerous radio because the chassis, wait a minute, hold on a second. You got another symbol here. Let's expand this just a little bit. So that's the chassis. It says case on it to make it clear. This must be a B- wire or something of that sort, a wire running inside the radio. It's all over the place in here. So this is probably not to the chassis. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. What goes to the chassis is a connection from one side of the power line through a capacitor here onto the case. Okay, now while the radio's on my bench, I power it from isolation transformer, from an isolation transformer, and this really isn't an issue while it's on my bench and nothing is connected to it. No grounds are connected to the radio. There's another note, A17CW, noise limiter switch. Okay, we'll be going through this in more detail, I'm sure, at some point. Lots of information in the schematic document here. Yeah, just instructions of various things. Okay, very good. Let's power this guy up. Okay, now regardless of the fact I'm using an isolation transformer while I'm working here, I think because this is a polarized plug, I should really follow the convention, and the best thing to do in a radio like this is make sure the hot plug, the narrow one, is connected to the switch. It doesn't guarantee the radio is safe at that point by any means, but it's better that way. So switch. So here's the power cord, the old one here, and I'm going to cut away. One connection goes there and the other connection goes over here. Now, even though they're going to a tube, there's a good chance that these terminals are not used on this tube, or they may be. One of them may be, but I think this terminal is not used on the tube. Which one goes to the switch? The switch is over here. It's got this black wire that's twisted. You can see it here, see it here, and one leg comes over and meets up with this. So this is going to the switch. And this is probably not actually a tube contact here, a tube pin. So I'm going to put the, let's see. So what they've done is they've ribbed the ground side. So the non-ribbed side is the hot side. Stick it through the hole here. It won't go. Okay, it's not going to go. I would rather have it strain relieved somehow. It's not going because these things aren't lined up here. Maybe if I push it on an angle. Yeah, there it goes. That's all it is. Okay. This guy here. Okay, we're going to take that off. Not much holding that on. Non-ribbed side. Okay, need to take a little more wire off, a little more insulation off. Okay. Another one. Holding this one on. There we go. Okay, bring in the much. The stranded wires, I have to be very careful because the strands have they have their own ideas about where they want to go. And it just takes one strand to go in a bad spot. Let's see how this goes. Okay. Power cord is on. I'm just about ready to plug this guy in, see what happens. My guess, it's going to hum. And that's about all it's going to do. That's my guess. Not very heavy without that power transformer. Okay, so if you're new to my videos, this is my bench power supply. Here, this is an ungrounded power supply. Even though it has the third prong, it doesn't actually go anywhere. It's just sitting right here. This is just a 2-wire extension cord. It's just 2 wires coming here from the isolation transformer. I also have this device that I can control the voltage level, but usually I don't make too much use of this. Instead, I like to use old-fashioned dim bulbs, these 2 lights up here. I'm going to feed the power to the radio through those light bulbs. Oh, that was my cat sneezing behind me. It scared me. We need some speakers hooked up here. So I will just hook up my shop speakers. Okay. Volume control is where? Let me just be absolutely sure what I'm doing here. The volume's on the right. This is the volume control here. Turn it down. Okay, so to feed, so first we want this switched off also. On and off switch is right on here. Now that's off. We're all set here. Now I have a couple of panel switches here. This one arms my bench outlet, but doesn't actually supply power to it. Doesn't really do anything, in fact. It's just like a master switch. This is a selector switch. Down puts the power through the light bulbs to the radio. Up, radio is essentially plugged in the wall. That's really what that amounts to. Those switches have a characteristic sound that you can recognize. You can hear when I'm switching them. For instance, here goes this one. It has that kind of sound to it. Okay, so I'm going to flip on the dim bulbs here, dim bulb supply. Nothing should happen. Very good, nothing has happened because I haven't got the switch on to the radio yet. But it's good to check these things because you don't know. You don't know. I sure don't know. That's definitely the case. My anti-wobble device has fallen out of the camera again. This is the anti-wobble device. We install it here. Removes 80% of your camera wobble. These switches. Those are speakers. So we want the speaker on. We want it on AM. The noise limiter off. Good, those are all correct. And this is receive and standby. It's in standby mode. We want it in receive mode. The band we want to be on to start. Yeah. The band we want to be on to start. This would be band 4 because the numbers are backwards. I don't write the band number on here anywhere. So there's a little indicator band, so when you turn this all the way this way, you're on the outside. So that's the high band. You go all the way this way, we're now on the broadcast band. There's no built-in antenna. There's no antenna. So we'll hook up for what it's worth. Actually, we won't hook it up right now. We'll go step by step here. Because I don't think the radio's going to operate. In fact, there's a good chance one of these tubes has an open filament too. Okay, I think we're all set. Are you going to work? Switch is off. Okay, so now I'm going to turn the power off. Turn the switch on. Now we're going to power up. So you really want to keep your eye on these lights. If they operate the way they should, if the radio operates the way it should, the lights will come on fairly bright, dull down, and then come on bright again. Well, but they won't be bright. They might be bright at the very, very start. If they're bright all the time, there's a big problem. That's the whole reason for using these lights. Here we go. Okay, so they went up and down right away. That's good. That's a good sign. I can see this heater is heating here. If that's heating, they're all heating. That's good. I hear nothing out of the speaker yet. That's good. The speaker is located above my head and to the left. I'm way up that way. Not that it matters too much for you. There's a little bit of light. Oh, here comes the hum. Here comes the hum. Kind of what I expected. And if we tune it, what do we get? We're not going to hear anything. Can't get past the wire. Ooh, it hasn't been up there for a while. Oh, that feels great. Well, we got to do something about the hum before we go any further. Great. So I think for today, all I'm going to do is size up the work that needs to be done on these two capacitors here. It looks pretty straightforward. There's a black wire coming out of the end here. Just goes over to this point. Got a yellow wire. This is going to the output tube. This is probably for cathode bypass. This is probably the cathode resistor right here. It looks a little big actually. And the red wires come over. One comes over here. This is easy to do. One comes over to here. And then we have this capacitor. Okay, so we have the ground from it, just bent back, grounded onto this is not the best way to do this, grounded onto this bracket here, and the bracket is attached by a rivet. That's really not the best thing to depend on rivets. Nevertheless, this guy just comes over to here. It's all looking pretty straightforward. Pretty easy to do. So, can we read the size on here? 40, 20. So the red ones are 40s and the yellow one is a 20. This one here is a 40. So we got 3 40s and a 20. Let's look at the schematic and see what it says about this. Okay, so got 40, 30, 30. And there's probably another one hidden somewhere up here. Hard to tell with this particular schematic. Well, it's going to be bypassing right here. This is it right here. 20. You can hardly read it. 20. This is the bypass. So it's the 20, and then in the schematic it's 40-30-30, but in the radio it's 40-40-40. I'm liable to change them to 50-50-50 myself. 47, in fact. Very good. Okay. That's what's in store for tomorrow. We'll replace these, operate the set, see how well it works without the hum in it, and we'll start going from there. I see some kind of special capacitor right here, some kind of unusual looking guy. But that's it for today. So thanks a lot for watching, and see you tomorrow as we carry on with this radio.